Hello everybody, welcome to Wine World TV, the best wine show anywhere. I'm your host, Mark Fusco. Before we get started, make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel. Every like and subscription really helps build the channel. Even better, spread the word to your friends about the best wine show anywhere. The total eclipse is coming on April 8th, 2024 to the US. We won't see another one in any part of the US until August 23rd of 2044. It's only going to be visible in the states of North Dakota and Montana. Most of it will be in Canada, I don't know why I always have to say A with that. But anyway, but don't worry, a much larger part of the US will get another opportunity the following year on August 12th, 2045. But then nothing else for at least 21 more years in the US. I've got a link to a Time magazine article for you to check out the next 42 years of total solar eclipses. The article is from 2017, so its title is, Here's Where You Can See Every Total Solar Eclipse for the Next 50 Years. Now, this eclipse is also significant for several more reasons. Number one, the length. At over 4 minutes in most of the US, it'll be one of the longest in the past 100 years. The solar maximum, that's basically the sun's corona, will be spectacular for this eclipse versus others due to its solar activity. So it means that there's more solar activity happening, and so on the edges you'll see more of the corona and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you have a telescope and stuff. Darkness. The darkest it's basically ever been over the US, with the ability to see planets and even a comet maybe, though that's going to be kind of hard to see. The path, around 31 million people live along the path of totality. That'll be the most in US history. What's also good about this one is that even if you don't live along the path of totality, due to how everything is working out, a significant part of the country will still get a high percentage eclipse, and the entire continental US will get at least a 15% eclipse. Basically Seattle. Much of the West Coast will get some kind of partial, and the East Coast too. So of course, with the annular eclipse a few months ago, people are probably more aware of the one that's on April 8th. And with it being a total eclipse, and the next ones are 20 and 21 years later, this is the time to try to experience it. If you've been following my Instagram account, then you've seen I've posted a couple times that I'll be at Ron Yates Winery along the 290 Wine Trail in the Texas Hill Country. He's kind of near High, Texas. Much of that region is right in the path of totality. Ron's winery is having a big event with 3 different packages: a regular package, a VIP package, and the ability to camp overnight in an RV. I've got a link below to their webpage, so if you're in Texas or coming to Texas, please consider joining me as I get to take advantage of being a member of the press. Of course, they will have an Eclipse wine. I don't know anything else about it. I'll find out more when I do a scouting trip in like about a week when I head out there. But what if you're not going to be here in Texas? Well, Spellbound created 3 Eclipse wines. I found these 2 a couple days ago, and they should be widely available, especially in the states where there will be totality. Now, don't get too excited. All they did was rebrand 3 existing wines into, quote, limited edition wines. They say this in their marketing material, actually. So these are not new wines. Not sure if Ron's wine is a rebranding or a new wine. Now, Spellbound has a Cab, a Chardonnay, and a Petite Sirah. I have the Cab and the Chardonnay. Depending on where you buy them, you also get a pair of Eclipse glasses. Now, if you're going to a regular grocery store, like the one, I have no idea how this looks because you can't see anything. This also brings me to actually these fit pretty decent. Anyway, I'm going to talk about something else in a second. So if you go to a regular grocery store, like a one aisle, that has like one aisle of wine and no one working the area, good luck getting these glasses. I luckily went somewhere that has someone around to ask about them. Otherwise, there are tons of places to buy these style glasses, and Amazon has a lot. Just make sure they're legit and buy them now, as shipping times may lag the closer you get to the actual eclipse. So this is my cue to kind of talk about what I did. So like I said, I'm going to the winery, and Ron Yates is one of probably almost every winery is going to have some kind of event. The city of Austin, almost the entire city of Austin is going to be under the totality, and they're like declaring a state of emergency already. It's March 12th. I think they declared it yesterday, and then I think Kendall County declared a state of emergency today. It's basically to kind of make people aware that because of the expected 500,000 to 1 million people coming to Texas as a whole, not necessarily to the Hill Country or to Austin specifically, but these areas are be some of the most heavily populated areas in Texas, or the most accessible areas in Texas to see the eclipse. You might have some difficulty traveling. They also talk about, like, make sure you get your prescriptions and make sure you have plenty of food and water and gas. Basically, for one day, it's going to be maybe somewhat difficult to, grocery stores might be a little bit extra busy for a couple days, like for the Sundays. This is a Monday, by the way. So I'm a little skeptical of how busy it's actually going to be as far as what's going on, but it is a totality and people will travel for this type of stuff. So people maybe not in Texas are necessarily going to be taking the day off from work, but you may have a lot of people that are coming to Texas for this, and they're going to take like a long weekend, right? Well, I mean, I don't blame them. But anyway, so what I did is I got on Amazon. I got these glasses. And the reason I got these glasses, I was a little concerned that these paper ones weren't really going to fit very well over my glasses, because I'm not going to wear my contacts, mainly because I still have some contacts, but I don't think they're really any good anymore. And I haven't worn contacts in about a couple of years now. I want something a little sturdier. So if I'm out there and I'm kind of moving my head around and doing stuff, I didn't want them to fall off. And not just that, I didn't just get glasses. What I did was I got this filter to use over the phone. So this is what it looks like. And what you'll do, since I'm using this phone to control everything, what you'll end up doing is you'll put this thing over here. Now, I have like a clamp for the phone to put on a tripod and all that. So that'll keep this in place. So you don't have to like hold it in place. And I've done I did a couple tests last week when I got it in, and it worked. It's all cloudy today now, which is kind of great because I'm recording during the day. Maybe tomorrow will be less cloudy. These are my days off from the day job. So yes, a rare daytime recording of stuff. But, so I've got my stuff. So if you want to take pictures with your phone or anything that this would fit over, maybe like, I don't know, a phone, or maybe you have some other type of small digital camera, maybe like something that fits in your pocket, something you can't really put like an ND, okay, don't use an ND filter. You need, these are, all this stuff is the equivalent of like, I don't know, like a ND 10,000 or something crazy. So even if you get like an ND 1000 filter, that's not going to be enough to protect the electronics in your devices, because they may be not as sensitive as your eyes, but they still can get fried from just pointing directly to the sun. And then the moon, what it does is it while there's no visible light, it can act as a lens. The gravity can act as a lens to concentrate things, especially as it's moving in front, maybe, anyway. There's lots of science there going on. So just be careful if you're going to be out there with your any type of eclipse glasses. These are coming from Celestron. I'll put a link below in the description where you can buy this. It probably will be an affiliate link, so maybe I'll make like $1 or something like that. But anyway, get yourself some glasses to do it. Now, if you are in Texas also, and you just can't make it to a winery, I get it. You might be living, in an area where it's not convenient to get there, or you're not going to take the whole day off to go to a winery. And by the way, Ron's event goes from like 8 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. So they're going to have all kinds of cool stuff going on, band, axe throwing, wine tasting, buffets, all kinds of stuff. So this is not meant to be a paid sponsorship thing, but since I am going, it's kind of expected that I kind of promote it a little bit. But if you can't make it to a winery, any winery or Ron's winery, and even if you live in Texas, these might be some cool options. These are the only ones I've seen on the market that are specifically branded as Eclipse wines, even though they're just a rebrand of something else. But I would say anything that maybe, you want to have some fun that day, anything that has something to do with the moon or the sun, on the label, whatever, that might be kind of fun to do. So anyway, there really isn't any history to cover with this winery other than it's part of the Folio Fine Wine Partners, which is owned by Michael Mondavi, one of the sons of Robert Mondavi. Okay, maybe there are a few more histories, things we can talk about history wine, but the actual specific winery, there isn't anything about the winery. But Michael Mondavi, son of Robert Mondavi, along with Tim Mondavi, they have branched out to do their own thing. Michael has his own winery, plus he has the Folio Wine Partners, and they make excellent wines. Now, I'm not familiar with, I probably had Spellbound at some point. I maybe even reviewed a Spellbound here and there, probably for like a Halloween episode. But I've also had some of their like more high-end wines or more premium wines, and they're always excellent stuff. So somebody I know said that they do like the Cab, so we'll see how it is. But anyway, let's just get into the stats for the wines. First up, the 2022 Spellbound Eclipse Chardonnay retails for $14.99 at the winery. I paid $10.99. It's from California. It's Chardonnay, no percentage for it. Aging French and American oak and stainless steel, no other info. And the ABV is 13.5%. Next up, the 2021 Spellbound Eclipse Cabernet Sauvignon retails for $14.99 at the winery. I also paid $10.99. It's from California. Cabernet Sauvignon, no percentage. Aging French and American oak, no other info. And the ABV is 13.5%. All right, let's talk about aging. All right, let's be real. These wines didn't see significant new barrel aging. The text sheets just say the type of oak, but no mention of barrel, new or old either, and no length of time. I'm not saying these didn't see a barrel, but most likely, considering the price point, we're talking about $15 and under, it was in some kind of tank with staves or chips at this price, or at least mostly old barrels. I think of this as things as seasoning being added to a dish. This is very common for wines for under $20 and absolutely expected for under $12. Normal retail, not necessarily sale price. Also, you can order the wines directly from the winery, like I kind of already mentioned. If these wines sound like a jam after I review them, then I'd get to this website quickly to order the wines, or just join me at Ron Yates Winery. All right, let's get into the wines. All right, so yeah, I mean, me talking about staves or chips, this is not meant to be a knock on this wine or this winery. The reality is, when you have lower price wines, more value price wines, using new barrels, especially French barrels, is expensive, and it adds to the cost of the wine. So you can get the flavors and aromas of oak by using staves or oak chips, or even oak dust, I guess. I mean, I know you can use oak dust. And these are just cheaper alternatives, and that just allows you to, get that experience without having to spend like $50 on a bottle of wine. So I don't hate on wineries that use these things, but unfortunately there's a stigma. There's kind of a stigma to say that you're not using a barrel. So anyway, as I get this poured out, and of course I always love screw caps. I love having that discussion with people in my day-to-day work life, especially people that really kind of go, oh, it's a screw cap. And I'm like, screw caps are great. And I'm sure when they look at me, I'm sure, and they give me that look like, wait a minute, you're the wine professional, or you're the sommelier or whatever, and you say screw caps are great? And I'm like, yeah, no corked wines. Technically it's possible, but it's so, you probably have a better chance of winning the lottery than getting a corked wine through a screw cap. I won't go through the science of how that happens, but it's absolutely possible. But yeah, and most screw caps keep wines fresher, and you can age under screw cap. I mean, hey, New Zealand and Australian wines, almost all of them are using screw cap. 95% of New Zealand wine is screw cap. And I can't remember what the percentage is for Australian, but I mean, Molly Duker has this velvet glove. It's $200 plus retail. That's under screw cap. And that's a wine you could age. All right, so let's get into these wines. So first of all, we got the Chardonnay. Typical, deep red. I'm sorry, deep yellow color, golden, if you will. It's pretty consistent throughout. There's a little bit of green there, and no, there's no green screen behind me because it's the blue screen. Because that's become my default screen color is the blue screen, especially when you have wines that have kind of green glass. The only time I really use green now is if there's significant blue on the label. But yeah, let's check it out. So you get a little bit of that green apple, yellow apple, and also something I can remember, watching Gary Vaynerchuk all the time. Hey, Gary, welcome back to the wine review world.
Let me give this a sniffy sniff.
We'll see how long you last this time, because you tried it a few years ago. You kind of petered out with whatever you were doing that last time. So maybe you'll stay around for a little longer. Hey, call me. I'll give you some pointers. Anyway, no, like I remember I get it, Laffy Taffy, kind of almost like a banana Laffy Taffy going on here. Kind of cool. So there's also a little vanilla going on, a little bit of that, a little bit of that vanilla, a little bit of that baking spice. That's going to come from the oak, but it's really subtle on the nose. It's not a whole lot. I don't get too much of a creaminess, but I wouldn't be surprised if this went through malolactic to give you that softness, so it's not like, so bracing and acidic. Let's give it a shot. Let's see, if you watched my channel for a long time, you know that Chardonnay isn't my first reach for white wines. I do enjoy Chardonnay, just like Pinot Noir. They're not my first reach. I enjoy them. I enjoy them way more now after I went to Burgundy and I understand these wines more, and I've drank a lot of more higher quality wines. But I've also been really surprised by some Chardonnays and Pinots that are in that under $20 or even under $15 range. Now this Chardonnay, it checks a lot of boxes, okay? It's pleasant. It's not necessarily over the top. It's got kind of like that yellow apple skin, so a little bit of texture going on there, a little grip, a little bit of caramel. Yeah, a little bit of caramel. There's a little bit of, and the caramel was kind of like that burnt sugar. I know that sounds bad, but it's not necessarily bad. It's just like you've got that. Maybe that caramel kind of melted a little bit too long, but it adds a little bit of character to it. So instead of just like some generic caramel. Yeah, it's got that. You got a little bit of a creaminess to it. As far as mouthfeel, it doesn't feel super bright, but the acidity is there. It's not gone. All that happened with malolactic is it changed malic acid, which is more bracing, to lactic acid, which is a softer acid. And the acidity level, like the grams per liter of acid, doesn't necessarily change dramatically, but the pH of those two acids is different. Lactic acid is a higher pH, which means it's a lower acid, or it comes across less acidic, whereas malic acid is a higher pH acid. So remember, pH is appearance of acidity, or how intense the acidity is, and then there's the actual measurement of acidity. And they kind of go hand in hand in an inverse way, but some acids have more attack or more prominence than others. So the acidity itself is actually pretty good. My mouth is watering, but the pH might be a little bit higher. Actually, no, it wasn't this one. I thought I saw the wines being at a higher pH, but obviously not, because I would have put it in the text sheets. There were some wines recently I saw, they were like a 3.7. I'm like, that's pushing it. But it's pleasant. It's a nice, easy drinking wine. It's perfect for like parties, right? Yeah, it's got that caramel yellow apple, got a little grip, a little bit orange, a little bit of peach. Got that, not cinnamon necessarily, but you've got a little baking spice going on. Yeah, it's a pleasant wine. It's not over the top on anything, right? It's not, someone goes, I hate oaky, buttery Chardonnays. I don't consider this oaky and buttery. Maybe more oaky because you're getting that caramelization, you're getting the baking spices, but it's more appley than anything else. And it's not bad. I'm I know, I think we're having Parmesan chicken tonight, so chicken parm. So that might be the wine for the night. All right, considering, you know, I don't have a ton of, I got a ton of wines to review. So once I got all those reviewed, man, I'll have all kinds of stuff. All right, let's get into the red wine. So it's a, you know, medium plus ruby color. It's pretty consistent throughout, though, you know, as what happens with more red wines, you can kind of get a little bit of color variation at the edge, but it stays pretty consistent for the color, just a lighter ruby. Okay, real quick, I'm going to change glasses. And yes, give me a second. I'm going to change glasses. All right. I'll explain here in a second what's going on. So for quite a long time at the house, we've had issue with the dishwasher and dishes and glasses coming out with a smell. Oh, I got the Texas Hill Country Wineries Roadshow from last year. Anyway, so we did everything we could think of, looked up all kinds of stuff, you know, make sure you're cleaning the dishwasher and using certain soaps and making sure that your the drain is clean, and make sure that your disposal is clean, because that's usually that's usually where the drain goes into, is the same drain as the disposal. All kinds of stuff. Like, did everything that was suggested, and nothing happened. And I actually would just hand wash my wine glasses, also because the older dishwasher didn't really do a great job just cleaning the wine glasses on anyway. So got a new dishwasher, nothing fancy, just something, you know, basic. And at first it seemed to work, and now it's becoming an issue. So I smell that smell in this glass, but not the other one. And I smelled both glasses when I took them out of the cabinet, aired them out real quick. They still didn't smell. And usually, like, I would say this is the first time I've actually had the glass smell bad since we've been double checking stuff. And what's weird is that the scent will usually go away after maybe a few hours and then it is gone. But this is a case where it kind of came back. So anyway, let's check it out. Yeah, there's definitely a difference. Definitely a difference in glasses here. Yeah. Okay. So it was the glass. I mean, my first reaction was, ooh, the wine's gonna smell like that, but no, it's the glass. Okay. So you've got that raspberry more than anything else. Raspberry, a little bit of blackberry, black raspberry, a little bit of plum, a little black plum. These are riper in nature. So the apple on that was also ripe in nature. And it was, and I get a little cinnamon clove. So again, you got your oak treatment, we'll call it that. Got a little bit of earthiness to it, a little bit of herbaceousness to it too. I mean, overall, it smells pretty pleasant. It's juicy. I think I tried to look up the RS numbers on these wines on LCBO, and I feel like it's 4 grams per liter, which is totally fine. That's actually legally dry in the EU. I'll double check that. So if I did find that on LCBO, then it'll probably be in the stats. But no, it doesn't taste sweet. It doesn't taste like it's sweetened like some other wines out there. It's juicy though. Yeah, I mean, the nose and the palate is pretty much the same. You got raspberry, blackberry, black raspberry, a little bit of plum, cranberry. Cranberry's more dried. It's fruity. It's riper. Tannin actually is kind of hitting. Tannin's nice. Kind of hitting the gums. There is a hard candy shell component to it. Kind of, you know, that like if you have like a raspberry candy, that kind of confectionery taste, but not as sugary sweet. It just has that kind of hard shell candy flavor, which I sometimes don't really care for. Not in a wine. I mean, it's a pleasant wine. Is it my style of cab? No. I'd actually rather drink the Chardonnay. If it was up to me and I had these two wines, I'd probably rock the Chardonnay at the party. If I'm having an Eclipse party, I'd probably do the Chardonnay over the cab. But also the Chardonnay is also, in general, the Chardonnays are easier to drink by themselves than a Cab. But I mean, I'll drink red wine on its own all the time. But is it a bad wine? No, I don't think it's a bad wine. I think it's serviceable. It's something that, you know, for 15 bucks, or if you can get it for like 11 or 12 bucks, it's totally fine as a daily driver. You know, I'll pop it open probably sometime this week when I'm having dinner. But it's a little bit too on the fruity side for me. And there is a generic quality to it. The Chardonnay, I didn't feel generic on it, but there is also a sameness. And honestly, most California Chardonnay and Cabs or anything that just says California, they're all going to taste pretty similar. There's going to be some changes between all of them. But I mean, as far as a wine that's 15 bucks or under, I don't consider it poorly made. I don't consider it bad quality. I consider it, yeah, okay, yeah. You know, this is easily something that I could see on a buy the glass list at a restaurant. You know, something that you just kind of have as your daily driver. Both these wines, just something as you have like your Tuesday. It is a Tuesday. On a Tuesday. Your Tuesday night or Tuesday day drinking wine. So yeah, not necessarily my style, but I think for the vast majority of people out there, it's pleasant. All right. Oh yeah. So got the Star Wars shirt. So I wore this specifically because, you know, someone's going to say
that's no moon. It's a space station.
On April 8th. Plus I have been drinking wine and watching a lot of this TV Star Wars things because I'm not in any type of study mode. But enough of that. It's going to do it really for the show. So anyway, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and then tell your friends, and we will see you next time. We can get some Spellbound Chardonnay, the Eclipse version. The Eclipse edition.